which is titled Expand Your Music Library's Space and Extend Your Collections with Events. And our presenters are Aaron Bittel and Jennifer Thom Hadley. Aaron M. Bittel is the director of the World Music Archives and music librarian at Wesleyan University. He returned to the Northeast this past September after more than a decade as archivist librarian and head of digital projects at the UCLA Ethnomusicology Archive, one of the largest and oldest ethnographic media archives in North America. While at UCLA, he was also an adjunct faculty member, teaching courses on audiovisual archives, oral history, and Irish traditional music. He served for several years as co-chair of the Education and Training Committee for ARSC, the Association for Recorded Sound Collections, and is currently chair of the Research Archives section for YASA, the International Association of Sound and Audiovisual Archives. Jennifer Thom Hadley has been a library assistant at Wesleyan's Music Library and World Music Archives since 1992, and has also served in the Wesleyan's Special Collections and Archives and as coordinator of the Friends of the Wesleyan Library. Her other library-related outreach and event experience has been as part of the statewide Friends of Connecticut Libraries, the Connecticut Library Association Support Staff Section, and the Russell Library Board of Trustees. Her continuing world music interest is in Javanese gamelan. And with that, I'll turn it over to Aaron and Jennifer.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, everybody. We're going to try to very quickly go through a couple of events or a couple of series of events that we did recently and some things we learned from them. We sort of think of it as two events, but we kind of got 5 for the price of 2, as you'll see. The first was really a pair of events that ended up being an all-day sort of marathon sonic takeover of the main library space. It all started with our acquisition of a series of scores of compositions by Jin-Hee Kim. Jin is a Wesleyan faculty member. She's a composer, and she's, among other things, the creator and performer of the electric komungo, which is a hybrid of the traditional Korean 6-string zither komungo with live digital manipulation. And Living Tones refers to both the series of compositions for various combinations of Korean and Western instruments, as well as the compositional device and system that they're based around, and there are a few other layers, but I won't go into that. After we acquired Jin's scores, and just kind of seeing the graphic aspect to them and how that tied in with all the other elements, I suggested an event celebrating the new collection. And Jin's response was very enthusiastic. After some discussion, we eventually decided on having her give a talk about her music and explaining the Living Tones system in general and its roots in Korean traditional music as well as contemporary experimental music. A performance of one of the pieces from the new score collection. And during this performance, we actually projected the score so the audience could experience the visual aspect along with the sonic. And then we also got Jin to give a live demonstration of the electric komungo, which I'll just play a short clip of. We felt it was really important to include all of these elements because they're all part of Living Tones concept and they're all part of Jin's creative output, both of which we were celebrating. So we also showcased Jin's scores and recordings and from our collections, as well as some photographs that she gave us in exhibit cases at a couple places in the library, and Jennifer will talk a bit more about that. We made up QR code tags, and I was surprised to learn I thought QR codes died at least a decade ago, but apparently at least among Wesleyan undergrads, they were alive and well. So we made up QR code tags with links to videos online for people viewing the exhibits who might not necessarily see the performance. We also knew we needed support from the music department. And we just wanted to have them involved in this as well. That was part of our purpose in this. So when I reached out to the department chair, Paula Matthewson, she actually said she had already been planning to suggest another performance in the library, which would be an expanded version of a performance that she did a couple of years ago. At that point, it was just her and one other person in one section of the library stacks, but she had a vision to sort of expand it to a 6-hour performance involving many more members of Wesleyan's music community and a variety of performances, from traditional to the conceptual. And don't worry, those are not library books, in spaces all throughout the library. So we decided to make it a whole day sonic takeover, and not just in the music library, but the whole library building. And the Living Tone events I described a moment ago was the big conclusion of that day. The second event, or set of events, was a bit more traditional. Through our colleague in the World Music Archives, Jody Cormack, we were contacted by Karen Casey, who's a very well-known Irish traditional singer, star of the 1990s post-Riverdance boom in Irish traditional music, and more recently known as an activist, especially with her work in the Fair Play movement to address gender inequity in Irish traditional music. She's also a recent PhD graduate, and so when she was coming to the US on tour, she was looking for performance opportunities on the house concert series that Jody hosts, but also interested in giving a guest lecture here at Wesleyan. So at the end, in the end, we ended up reaching out to music faculty and some other community members and put together a 3-day campus residency, including a lecture demonstration about the intersection of her life as a singer and as an activist in the Fair Play movement. A workshop with a concert choir, a guest lecture for the undergraduate World Music Survey course, and then capping it all off, the house concert, which was not officially part of the residency, but we were able to draw in that community for some of the library events as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer to talk about some of the lessons that we learned.
Hi, I'll talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts and some of the great relationships we developed through these events. So next slide. So when you put on an event, of course, you're always wondering about your audience. And at first I was a little concerned how we would draw an experimental music or Korean music audience into the library. But the real secret to that was that strong collaboration with the music department. For the 8-hour event, you really need to have a lot of energy. And the music department was able to provide a lot of energy from all the graduate students to the faculty who came out to support, to perform and support the people who were performing. That was wonderful. And also, it really helps if you have the music faculty either require or strongly encourage their students to come, because I think that helped draw a lot of people into the library. And also having Karen Casey's events out in the music classes and with the big chorus really exposed more people to her music and to her ideas than might have happened otherwise. So that I can't underestimate the payoffs that in terms of publicity and good relationships this played out for the music library. And I'll speak a little more about that later. Next slide, Erin. So we were fortunate for Jin's performance and for Karen Casey's lecture to use the big reading room in the library, which is one of the prime spaces there. And it's known as the quiet space in the library. So we took it over and had to kick out some students who were studying, but it all worked out okay. It has wonderful natural lighting during the day and nice acoustics for chamber music and lightly amplified music. It might not work so well for a larger ensemble. However, the music department and students and faculty really loved the acoustics. And after the event, we had many people floating ideas about other performances in the library. So we hope we can accommodate them. The downsides of that space are, though, that it doesn't have any sound equipment or performance equipment. Lighting is not very good for performances. So we had to borrow lights, and I moved around standing from other parts of the library, but it worked out well in the end. And the other plus side of using the space was that our library administration had been supportive in the abstract, but when they attended and saw a full house of music department and community members who are enthusiastic about these performances, it really, I think, made them even stronger advocates for the music library. And it also made our case for getting some projection equipment and sound equipment and lighting, which we were almost green-lighted to get this coming year. It's on hold now because of budgets, but we hope that in the future we might be able to help make this space even more congenial for future events. Next slide. So we also wanted to highlight, well, one highlight of this event of having the 6 hours of performances throughout the library, where some performances were planned and others were just happened as music, the Paula who organized this invited basically anyone who wanted to come and perform music, and they could choose their own place. So here's one of our professors who chose an intimate stacks. So I would say it gave people, the students, the non-music students who just happened to come upon this music in the stacks, as well as the people who were performing, a whole new relationship to the library. And for the music students and for the faculty, I think it made it a much more personal space. For the people, music students who are mostly use the library as a study space, I think having their own music performed and hearing it in the space made them own it more. And I think that it helped lend their energy more to thinking of the library as a place that could help them just beyond providing them with citations and books and articles. But I'll run on to the benefits of this collaboration. We had a shoestring budget, and as I mentioned, no equipment in the space for events. So the great thing about working with the music library, the music department, I mean, is that they provided not only much of the sound equipment and the projector and graduate student help and the stand lights that helped make this run, but we're able to use other departments on campus as well. So next slide, Erin. So these two slides contrast the different exhibit spaces in the library. So the one on the left is the smaller case, which is right outside the music library. And we use that to highlight a variety of topics throughout the year. And you can see there's one of Jen's scores and some of her photos. On the other side, as you saw before, it's the Special Collections and Archive main exhibit space on the first floor. And they had intended to do their own exhibit of other acquisitions, but they ran out of time. So they offered us 6 cases. I was able to showcase most of the new scores we acquired from Jin. And and we were delighted to have it there. But I didn't realize how delighted the music department was until many of them spoke to me about what it meant to them to have a major exhibit of works on the first floor where everyone could see it. And I think opened them up even more to seeing what the music library would do for them. Next slide, Erin. We also benefited from the fact that this was listed as a Center for the Arts event, even though it took place in the library, because we could benefit from their website, from their publicity, their mailing email, and printed brochures go out to hundreds and thousands of people, more than our mailing list is. And next slide, Erin. And we also got a lot of publicity in the online newsletter. The editor sent over a photographer who ended up spending most of the day with us, and then published a lot of photos and videos. So I will leave it with that because we're running out of time. I'll just highlight again how important this was as a relationship builder for us.
So I think we're out of time. Thank you, everyone. These are our email addresses. We're happy to answer questions about how we put it together, or some more things that we've learned. And thanks again.